Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the weekly webinar from SMB Nation and Office 365 Nation. Got a great crowd today, by the way. We've really tapped into a strong community conversation. We'll get to that in a moment. Couple of things. Just an FYI, I already know you know this, but over in the U.S., we have our time change coming up this Sunday. And the reason I say that is there's always that one person that gets a little wackadoo over the time change. So just make the adjustments you have to Outlook or your internal laptop clock. But the webinars will be always at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So we'll see you next week and the week after and the week after and so on. So keep in touch about that. Next item is we're right on top of the New York show. So we just finished the Southern California show, the Office 365 Nation Workshop Tour. Great audience last week. Getting some really good feedback with the speakers coming at the Office 365 conversation from an independent point of view. So, you know, bottom line is we think you should go to both Microsoft events and our event because it's not like in college when you majored in finance, you only had one textbook. You should have multiple textbooks. The Microsoft SMB Live events that are just kicking off for spring are great. Go to it. But also we'd like your consideration to come to our event as an independent show where, quite frankly, it's a separate and different conversation. So that's March 26th in New York City. We're hoping to draw audiences from, I would offer Philadelphia all the way up through Connecticut. Heck, maybe a couple of people from Boston will come down, and got our fingers crossed the weather will be great. Sure hoping. So we have that coming up, and then finally the fall conference. Save the date, October 2nd through 4th. I am working madly on that today, and so we should have the website up. I'm going to offer the 16th of March, mid-month. We should have the website up so you can do some planning. It's going to be Office 365. We're going to have a huge section on Windows 10 and also Azure. So it's not just a one-trick pony, but it's a couple of different conversations. With that said, we better get going. So, gentlemen from Nuvolex, are you on the line, and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, we are, Harry. First of all, I want to start by saying thanks so much for having us as part of your webinar series. For us, this is kind of a bit of a hello world for Nuvolex, and after seeing your SMB Nation Office 365 roadshow, it seemed like a very logical place for us to come out to the world with our platform.
Appreciate it. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get going, and then Brian, do you mind if I ask questions during the webinar?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so folks, don't forget, every week you use the chat feature over on the right. Use the chat feature. I'll see the questions, and Brian, I'll interrupt you periodically.
Sure, that's not a problem at all. So to start, like you were saying, Harry, who are we? We're an ISV, and we're based in Palo Alto, California. We're pretty much right down the street from Stanford University. And we literally, as of a couple weeks ago, kind of took the covers off of Nuvolex. We've been in stealth mode for over a year and a half building our platform. And what we term ourselves as is a public cloud management platform. However, the first release that we have on the platform is all about Office 365 multi-tenant management. So we're really excited. We've been in conversations with, MSPs, partners, whatnot around the world, and we're really excited for what we have today. And we're really proud of the work we've done. But, for us, we're just getting started. We have so much more coming to our platform. So for us, it's just we're excited to be, out in the public now. So, one of the questions that comes up is, why we focused on public cloud specifically. We look at public cloud as being a really significant opportunity financially, both for people like us as well as service providers like yourselves around the world. And the question is, well, how big? it's enormous. These numbers by IDC, of which 80 billion of that 127 billion is SaaS, and in that category is growing at a compounded annual rate of 20%. So the opportunity to play in this category is enormous. In terms of who are the major adopters in public cloud today, they're basically your customers. The SMB has been the quickest to embrace public cloud. And so I think it's pretty important for the community that serves the SMB community to understand that the fact that their customers are moving there, that to have an offering to serve their customers is pretty critical to their business. So the question is, why are they moving there? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Brian, on that last slide, it's just, if you don't mind, I was going to interject. It's really interesting the variety of conversations surrounding 365. So part of Office 365's tremendous growth is the enterprise agreements are being renewed for Office 365 versus Office. So that's interesting, and that kind of creates, I'm going to offer a little bit of a false economy. A renewal, Office 365 has a lot of momentum and organic growth on its own, but a renewal is a little bit different animal, and it does kind of inflate the numbers. I think the better conversation I've had on extensive travels in this area is really a lot of wiser minds view this as an SMB play. They really think Office 365 is an SMB solution. And then because we don't have enterprise agreements down in SMB, that's real growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. I'll get into it a little bit more in the presentation.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of as a lead into this slide. There's a reason why the SMBs are jumping on things like Office 365, right? I mean, the economics are definitely better to go down this path than they are to, invest in their own infrastructure and resources to manage their stuff internally. Another reason I think why these guys have been first mover is they don't deal with kind of the legacy of the governance issues that some of these large corporations do, right? I was in a conversation with some folks at Cisco a couple of years back on their environment, and I think there was about 100,000 employees, a little over 100,000, and this was a couple of years ago. They were still on 2003, and Exchange 2003, and they were like, we have no idea how we're going to move beyond this. It's a nightmare for some of these organizations. And then, the OpEx versus CapEx argument, for the SMB, it's a no-brainer, right? I pay for what I need when I need it. I don't write checks up front. None of these SMBs want to write checks up front. And so that, it's their utility, right? So it's very attractive to this community. And then lastly is, do I want to hire resources? Do I want to take on this, administrative effort internally? I don't, right? So there's a number, I think, of really good reasons why these guys are adopting. So it's interesting the fact that, for the people who serve the SMB community, look, the numbers are in, and your customers are going there. The $100 question is, are you? So some of the questions that come up as we were talking to, and we continue to talk to service providers around the world about this movement to the cloud by the SMB community, are like, well, if my customers are moving, what do I have to offer them? What value do I have to deliver them to continue to be that valued partner? And then it's like, okay, well, there's so many cloud services. Where do I start? Everybody's got a cloud service now. So try and figure out what's the first step you move forward in this category. Another comment that comes up constantly is, well, Brian, it's a great point, and yeah, we think we need to move there because our customers are moving there, but I'm not sure if I can do it cost effectively. I don't think I can make any money. Microsoft's taking all the money out of this. But the last thing that we think about, and that I ask these customers, these service providers, is what happens if I do nothing? So the question is, as a service provider, where do I even start? This is the number that moved us. This is the number that got us in the game, 500 million. That number represents the number of on-prem exchange licenses worldwide. It's got to be one of the largest, if not the largest application in the business world. If you spend any time talking to Microsoft people, which I'm sure a lot of you do, you know that Microsoft is doing as much as they can to move everybody from that on-prem world to 365. They look at this as an absolute anchor tenant, and you're already seeing that behavior pattern. You look at these license types, and you look at Microsoft continuing to add functionality, different services within Office 365. So then you have an SMB that says, look, I buy a license of, let's say, E3 for $20. I've got email, I've got collaboration, I've got file sharing, I've got social communication, within my organization with Yammer. I don't think that's going to stop. And so Microsoft understands their strength in the market, and their anchor. They know what the anchor tenant is, and they're just going to continue to build off that. So they're going to have a very powerful play here as we continue to move forward. And at the end of the day, every company uses email. I mean, if you're dealing with a company that doesn't use email, I probably wouldn't spend much time working with them. So now, as I say this, there are service providers out there that are offering services today, right? So you'll see service providers offering consulting or deployment services, working with small to medium enterprises, trying to help them with their strategy to go from that on-prem world to 365. I see a lot of folks out there now delivering migration services. How do I move all my content, my data from our on-prem environment to 365? We want to go there, but how do we do it? And there are ISVs out there that do an excellent job of this. Very, very good companies. Guys like Skykick, BitTitan, even the DellQuest guys. Very powerful offerings that enable you to deliver a service to the market around migration. But what we see consistently over and over again is these service providers will provide the service, they'll do the heavy lifting, and they'll just stop. And they'll walk away from the engagement, and it just always boggles our mind. It's like, you've built credibility, you've done heavy lifting, why would you stop? Why not continue, well, and also reselling licenses, but once you do those services, why wouldn't you just continue the relationship and provide the ongoing administrative support that most of these companies don't want to deal with? And most importantly, it's the only ongoing annuity stream, very profitable annuity stream that you can capture in this category. So then the question also that we get asked all the time is, well, I'm not sure what I can say to get my customers to basically allow me to provide a service to them. How do I convince them? Well, one thing is, as these customers realize that, once they have this deployed in their organization, the answer back to them is saying, look, if there are any issues, you're the ones that are going to have to deal with it. You're the ones that are going to have to sit on the phone with Microsoft for God knows how long. And there will be issues. So you can either own that yourself, or you can offload it to us as a service provider. And the key here, which we believe, is going in there to your customer and saying, look, we'll remove that administrative headache. You don't have to deal with it. We'll take care of it for you. But it needs to be, in our opinion, at a fraction of the cost of their license. If you're going in pricing your service equivalent or almost equivalent to what it costs for them to buy the license, it's not going to work. But if you make it at a point where the incremental cost to deliver the service for them to buy the service from you is a fractional cost, an insignificant number compared to their license price, they're probably not going to think twice about it. They're just going to hand it over to you and say, look, deal with it. That's where we come in. So what we've built is a very rich Office 365 multi-tenant management platform. It has a number of features on the platform that allow you to very easily and very cost-effectively deliver this managed service to your customer base. what we'll do is we'll talk about this. We'll show you a few screenshots that I'll hand off to Josh, but you're going to have a number of features and functions and value-added information that you can deliver to customer to more than justify the money they spend with you to deliver that managed service around 365. So with that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Josh. Josh used to be a long-time MSP doing admin work around 365 and BPOS, and he's been in your shoes. He knows this intimately well, and he's going to show you a few screenshots and talk to you about why he believes this is a very relevant platform for people in your position.
All right, so I'm going to walk you through a few screenshots of our platform highlighting some of the great features that we can offer. First off, multi-tenancy. What you're looking at here is I can switch between all of my Office 365 accounts without needing to enter in a username and password. When you're managing multiple accounts, having to keep track of usernames and passwords is a task in itself. So just logging in to reset somebody's password could take you a significant amount of time, which is never a good thing. What you're looking at here, this is how we handle user management. What you'll notice is that we give you all of the relevant details about a user and their mailbox all in one place. So from one screen, you'll see the user's identity data, along with what license has been assigned to them, any group memberships that they have, and their mailbox quota, how much has been used. We also will give you the ability to change any of these items, along with establish forwarding, delegation, and you can even share that user's calendar with someone else inside of the organization, all in one place. This is license management. So what we enable you to do is take large volumes of users and move them in and out of different license types. So you can take a handful of different users and assign them to a license with a few clicks. Or you can take a list of 3,000 users or more and change their licenses with just a few clicks as well. And on top of that, we have role-based access. So anybody on your service desk team will get their own login. And specifically, you can limit the kinds of actions that each of your admins can do and to which accounts that they can perform these actions on. We have 3 different roles, and we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, so that's just a brief snapshot of some of the functions and features we have on the platform. There's a lot more beyond what we're showing today, but I think the point is that in showing these screenshots, we've thought through a lot of these issues. When we first started the company, we had a handful of customers, IT service providers, like a lot of you, that were sitting with us side by side, architecting the platform from the ground up. We understood in detail what a lot of the challenges that they had having to deliver these services, manage these customers, and as a result of that, a lot of the functionality that you see within Nuvolex is represented on our platform based on the feedback we've got from people like you in the market. So we're pretty excited about what we have, but we're equally as excited about what's coming beyond that. So the next thing I want to get into is, pricing. How much does something like this cost? And so going back to the original point is, if you're going to deliver a managed service around 365, it needs to be, in our opinion, a fraction of the cost of the license they're actually going to be buying. So if we were to take just an average of a license, calling it $10 a license. Now, A lot of people buy E3 licenses because they have Link, they have SharePoint, as well as Exchange, and those are, I believe, $20 licenses. If you're going into a customer to sell them this service, to charge them $1.50 to $2 for the service on an average license price of $10, it's probably not something they're going to spend a lot of time thinking about, because that price is pretty attractive. It's not going to really move the needle financially for them. Now, because of how we built the platform, you may have customers that say, you know what, yeah, the service would be great, but I'm going to manage it myself. So then the issue becomes, well, okay, so you're going to have to deal directly with Microsoft, and I hope you know how to write PowerShell scripts. And so, once they admit that they don't, and they don't want to deal with Microsoft, but yet they still want to manage it, one of the options that you have with the Nuvolex platform is that you can white label the platform and allow your customer to what we call self-manage their account. Now, in that admin panel that you saw, just prior to some of these slides, you have the ability to give your customers as little or as much control over the platform as you see fit. If you decide you want to hold back some of the auditing and reporting features, and that becomes a kind of a delivery as part of the self-service offering or the full service offering that you give to customers, you have complete control of what they can and cannot do on the platform. As you do with the admins that you have actually using the platform, you can completely control the admins that you have, how much or how little ability they have to manage your customers. And again, the message to the customer is, look, for a fraction of the cost of these licenses, you don't have to deal with the administrative headaches that you're going to get with 365 or any service like this. So if you're charging $1.50 to $2, and by the way, if they're buying a $20 license, there's no reason that couldn't be $3 to $4 because again, it's a fraction of the cost, an insignificant fraction of the cost. So the question is, okay, well, what's the cost for us to use Nuvolex to deliver this service? This is our pricing for the platform. So you can see as you do the math, there's a lot of margin in this business. And I'll give you a little bit more detail around what that looks like. So if you use the same math that we were just talking about, and let's say you have 1,000 total seats that are being managed in your account base on the Nuvolex platform. And we don't care if it's one tenant at 1,000 seats or 100 tenants at 10 seats each. It doesn't matter to us. All we care about is the total seat count. So for that $10,000 that customer is paying, or combination of customers are paying for, for the license, they're getting charged $1,500 per month, and for those, $10,000 they're paying every month. The cost you have to Nuvolex is a small fraction of that. So for this 1,000 seats, you're making 15 grand a year. Now you can sit there and say, well, what are the administrative costs on my end? Well, you're not going to be adding any admins. What you're going to be doing is reducing the level of effort that your current admins have to manage these customers, these tenants, these users. So that's at 1,000 seats. When you move to 10,000 seats, it gets a whole lot more interesting. All of a sudden, you're looking at $156,000 a year you're making. And the level of effort to deliver that is not much more because of the ease with which you can deliver the service using the Nuvolex platform. So one of the questions you may have is, well, geez, if we're going to aggregate those size numbers, we have to get, not just SMBs, but maybe some small to medium enterprises. Well, you're going to see stuff, releases coming out of Nuvolex in the next 2 months. They're going to make it extremely compelling for some of these larger customers to want to use our platform. And we're not going to have direct relationships with these customers, no matter how large they are. We're going to be working with our partners to deliver the service. I'm not interested in building a large sales organization. What I'm interested in developing more and more technology to put on our platform. And we're going to work with you, the channel, to deliver that value to the market. So then, you know, for some of you who are interested in what we're doing or want to get in this category and start to, yeah, sure.
Yeah, hey, we're at a natural break point. Got a couple questions queued up. Folks, it's about the bottom of the hour. If you joined us late, we're having an excellent audience in a 365 management conversation, and essentially Nuvolex is introducing themselves to the community. Use the chat feature to ask your question. The first one is, I think I can answer this truthfully. Is there a method for purchasing rather than leasing Office 365? It's my understanding no. You could purchase the traditional Office SKUs, but Office 365 itself is a service. So that's a different way of participating with Microsoft. Let's see, next question, Brian, for you. Integration with ConnectWise or any other PSA, say your Autotask or your TigerPaw?
Yeah, we don't have that yet, but that's coming. That's going to be coming out pretty soon. That we know that's a requirement. So you will be seeing that from Nuvolex, yes.
Okay. When Brian, when you say multiple users, are we talking about multiple users, multiple clients? I think this individual may be asking about a tenancy, multi-tenant type question. You want to take that one on?
Yeah, so the platform is multi-tenant, right? So basically it's very simple for you to load every one of your Office 365 tenants on our platform. I mean, literally, it's you give them a company name, put in their global admin credentials, click one button, and boom, your customer's on the platform. Once you load all your customers, you can go from tenant to user to function to function, literally with clicks of a button, and just do full administration.
Next
Incredibly
question
simple.
is, can we see what particular static pages are cached and which aren't? If that makes sense. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that one's not clear. I mean, if it might be a more technical question, we can talk to our guys about, but I'm not. That's just not a clear question.
Yeah, and we could take a redo on that question if you like. Send a redo, and we'll fit it in. Next question looks like it clears the deck. Oh my goodness, they're starting to. Oh no, this does clear the deck. Okay, changing licenses on the fly, not available for open. This is only meant for advisors, so that appears to be someone offering advice. Any thoughts on changing licenses on the fly?
I mean, the platform we have, you know, that we were showing, you know, you're going to have X amount of licenses that you've bought from Microsoft that we load onto the platform, and it's very easy to assign and unassign different license types. It's a function of what licenses you've already acquired. But the process is literally, you know, selecting users, moving them into a license type, and hit, you know, assign, and vice versa. You know, literally taking a bunch of users, selecting them, hit unassign. I mean, I think it's maybe 3 clicks of the mouse, and then you've assigned one unassigned or assigned one to many thousand. Incredibly simple to do.
Okay, next up, does this work for delegated admins only? Excuse me.
No. You do not have to be a delegated admin to use our platform.
Okay, cool. Let me knock out, oh, good Lord. Couple of big ones. I've got 4 more. Brian, let's continue, and I'll interrupt you again. They are rolling in, but we've got 4 more. Folks, keep them coming. Brian, please continue, and we'll take another break.
Yeah, sure. And just for everybody on the line, you know, if we don't get to your questions or we run out of time, I mean, my contact data is going to be at the end, and please, you know, feel free to reach out to me directly, you know, and we can talk further. So in terms of what's next, if you're interested in this, if you're one that wants to move forward in management 365 offering services in this category, go to our website and fill out the request demo form. And that's the first step you need to take. And what we'll do is we'll give you a full demo, a lot of things we're not showing, and talk about the business. And then if you want to continue to move forward, you move into a 30-day trial. And the approval process is, we're focused on IT service providers delivering managed services to the market. If you're not an IT service provider, if you're an ISV or some other type of organization, we'll need to understand what makes sense in terms of working with you, because we're a bit focused on the managed service provider community or the IT service provider community in general. So after the 30-day trial, if you want to continue to use the platform, you just basically put in a credit card. And the way it works is the first day of every month, we'll do a count on the total number of seats you're managing, and then we'll charge a credit card. We try and keep it real simple.
And yeah, that's actually cool. I didn't know that, sir, so thank you for
it has to be simple, right? I mean, we're all about low touch point here, right? We're all about automating everything. That's how you create operating margin. So, to sum up and the message we want to get across is, look, it's time. Some of you have been sitting on the sideline, not sure what it's going to take that next step. Now's the time. The market is enormous. It's getting bigger. It's not slowing down. And most importantly, your customers are moving in this direction. And the way we look at it is, by going down this path to offer managed services around 365, it's not about necessarily transitioning your business or shifting your business. I look at it more about evolving your business. It's not about walking away from your current business, but it's preparing the business to move into this other category. And then let the market dictate how aggressively or not you disconnect from your existing business, or unless you decide that you still have a great play in the on-prem world. But we're here to help you evolve your business. And as you've seen and as we've discussed, both from the size of the market and the growth of the market, as well as the economics, hopefully, that you've seen leveraging our platform, we believe there's a lot of money to be made. And we believe really that this is just the beginning. For us, we're going to have a lot more, not only features, but services coming onto the platform that's going to only make your offering to the SMB market and the other categories very compelling. And just so you know, through this process, we're absolutely here to help.
Yep. No, welcome to the club. So, I mean, this, like you said, in so many ways is your public communication about your availability. So, right on.
Yeah, we're excited. It's been a long time in dev, so we're ready to go. And I think people, when they start using our platform, are going to like what they see. And also, too, we're in conversations literally around the world. I mean, our platform, just so people know, by this time next week, you'll be able to deliver the Nuvolex platform in 14 different languages. So you literally can have any one of your admins anywhere in the world log in and have the whole Nuvolex platform in your language of choice. Or if you're doing white label, you can have customers around the world and have them, with their login credentials, the whole application will pop up in their native language.
Yep. Okay, Brian, got a couple questions. One I sent to you on chat. Brian, if you want to, it's quite lengthy, deals with not-for-profits. You may even want to answer that one offline or what have you, but check your chat over on the right. I'll give you I've got 3 queued up, some quick hitters, maybe while you're eyeballing that other one. So the question I will read to you came in at 10:30 Pacific. Says, looks like email management. What features are coming down the road? What are the future plans for the product?
Well, we're not going to make any announcements now, but in the next few months, we're going to go well beyond what you see here.
Fair enough. All right, next question. Can I manage any part of the encryption service from the platform, or do I still need PowerShell, PowerScript for that?
We are currently not doing anything with encryption at this time, but you should see features showing up on that sometime this year.
Okay. Next question, and folks, be sure to use the chat feature. I'm starting to get to the bottom of the barrel. Great audience. Hopefully a few more questions, but next question is, how is file sharing managed? Traditionally, an admin would set up file shares and NTFS permissions. How is this done in Office 365?
File sharing in the context of SharePoint?
I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, we could talk about SharePoint or
I talked about
OneDrive, but
I talked about calendar sharing, not necessarily file sharing and NTFS permissions. That sounds like something related to the SharePoint side of the house.
yeah, yeah. Sir, if you want to kick out an email to myself, harryb@smbnation.com, I can get you to one of our SharePoint gurus. Maybe if you want to go one layer deeper on that question, and I'm happy to get over to Melanie Goss, the Microsoft princess, see if she can tackle that one. Brian, did you get that chat that I posted up to you, sir? Regarding
Yeah, I was gonna suggest they just reach out directly to me because it's
okay.
a longer conversation.
It is, and it quite frankly, it may be a specific conversation. You know, oh my goodness, more coming in. I was going to tell a joke, but
well, I think with our platform, the more tenants you manage, the larger the volume of users that you have to deal with, the more compelling the platform becomes. So if you're managing 50, 100 users, and you don't plan on growing, yeah, you could probably get away with just using the Microsoft admin portal, and maybe have to write a few PowerShell scripts here and there. But if you plan to build a managed services business around 365, Microsoft is doing the selling right now. I mean, they're pushing 365 like mad. And if you're doing, especially if you're doing migration services for any company, we all say that we're the migration providers, tool providers, where they drop off is where we start. So it's a very
that's a key point. That really is that you're kind of step two.
Yeah, it's a very, very logical extension. I mean, and we also believe that it's at that point of sale when you're in with the customer saying, look, you want to move to 365, you need to migrate your existing stuff over to 365, you need some licenses. I mean, so you're doing the migration service, which is all the heavy lifting. You're hopefully even reselling licenses, working with one of the major distributors, so you can make some money off that. At the point of sale is when you bundle in this offering and say, look, for a fraction of these license costs, we'll just handle the ongoing administration of the of 365 for you. It's when he has his checkbook out. That's when you want to drive that message. Now, if you're already doing administration around 365 for your customers, we're just going to dramatically lower that cost to deliver the service.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, got a couple questions queued up. Hang on a second. Let me get down. The sun's coming in. Let me get down to my screen so I can see it. There we go. Is there a minimum number of Office 365 licenses required to maintain use of the Nuvolex platform?
No, at this point we don't have any minimum.
Okay, great. Where does the platform run?
Azure.
Okay, very good. Maybe you'll be a TV commercial someday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. I mean,
okay.
You want to take that out of the equation, right? I mean, obviously we're pretty big fans of Microsoft and the stack, so everything runs on Azure.
Yeah, that makes sense. The next question is, can you go back to the pricing slide? I have a gentleman who wants to see the pricing slide.
Sure. Hold on. Let me click on this guy right here.
Folks, be sure to use the chat feature. We have a little time, so let's get on
this one, or the actual this one right here? Okay.
Not sure. Maybe both.
Is this the one they're talking about?
Yeah, maybe if you want to cover both again, I'll certainly not knock it out.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
this is
a redo on this slide.
Yeah, this is the price on a per seat managed that you're going to pay. So if you have less than 1,000 seats, you're going to pay 35 cents per seat to us, and then hopefully you're charging your customer $1.50 to $1.50. So that's well over 50% gross margin. And as you move up in the volume of licenses that you're managing, your per seat price that you pay us drops down to 20 cents. Now, the pricing, again, is a fraction of the price that you're going to charge your customer to deliver the service, and it's a fraction of what they're paying for the license. Now, there are guys out today in the market doing reporting, Office 365 reporting, that charge similar pricing just for a reporting tool. That's like one component of our platform. So we think we are a pretty attractive, not only platform, but a very compelling price to allow you to go out and drive a very profitable managed services business around the largest business application in the world. And then this is just the map, based on managing 1,000 seats versus 10,000 seats. So I think it's an interesting point, because as we continue to talk to more people about Nuvolex, particularly some of these larger organizations that are going to be very excited on this new release coming up, we're going to be pointing to our partners that are Nuvolex customers that we're working with to be the ones to deliver this service to the market. And so the column on the right, we think, is going to be extremely attainable for a number of partners as soon as our next release comes out. And again,
cool.
this is out of 500 million licenses worldwide. So that's maybe 1/100th or 1/1000th of a percent of number of licenses out there. It's a small number.
Okay, so then we have a question that says, can you create templates? And Brian, why don't you go back to your slide with your contact information, just
sure.
to say a reinforcement, if you don't mind. The question here is, can you create templates that allow you to create a user, have them join specific distribution list, and/or shared mailboxes?
I'll leave you with 2 words on that one. Stay tuned.
Okay. Folks, last call for questions. The queue is free, so why don't you, while you're gathering your thoughts on some questions, here we go. Future question. Here they come. Just had to scare them a little bit, Brian. Future, as your feature set grows and expands, how will that
sorry, Harry, I missed that. I was breaking up.
Oh, sorry. So as Nuvolex, as your feature set grows and expands, how will that affect the pricing to us? So are you going to increase your price as you add more stuff?
We're gonna increase our price as we add more services, but the growth of our pricing is going to be insignificant relative to the price that you're going to be able to increase to your customer based on the incremental services that you're going to be able to deliver for them. So you're going to be making a lot of money with the current feature set as well as new features. It's not going to move in any meaningful way.
Very cool. Got 3 queued up. How does Nuvolex compare to the competition? How do you stand apart?
We haven't seen anybody in the world doing what we're doing right now. Like I said, there are people dabbling in different categories, but no one has the breadth and depth of features and offerings that we have today. If they're out there, we haven't seen them. And with some of the releases coming up, we're going to continue to create a pretty sizable gap. And these are some features that we have coming that Microsoft already told us that they're not delivering on.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. The next two are I'm not sure if they're Nuvolex questions, but let's read them and see if we can answer them, or I might have to take it under advisement. The next question is, can we add 365 licenses within their portal link that will charge the existing credit card? So I'm assuming there is Nuvolex. So add existing licenses and charge the existing credit card. Does that question make sense?
Well, yeah. So we don't deal with buying licenses on our platform.
Yeah.
So like, as an example, you have a customer that's an Office 365 customer, and you want to use Nuvolex to manage, that customer. Again, all you do is put in the global admin credentials, put in the customer name, click a button, and then you've onboarded the customer to Nuvolex, and then literally you start managing, 5 minutes later. And all we're going to do again is just take a count, a seat count, and number of seats you're managing, and at the beginning of each month, just charge you accordingly based on the number of seats you're managing. So we don't get involved in any of the purchase of the licenses. That's not what we do. Once the licenses are purchased, we just suck that information into Nuvolex. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yep, I get it. I get it. Next question. At this point, the last question is. This is a more generic question. I'm scratching my head to see if I could answer it, but let's put it out there. Must the user have E3 for SharePoint, or is there some other level that will allow SharePoint for file sharing? And I'm going to say yes. I thought OneDrive for Business is available on different levels. Guys, can you cover me on this one?
If you're trying to get services from SharePoint, there's a number of different SKUs that offer that. There's SharePoint Online by itself. That's a single SKU. I believe there's at least 3 bundle SKUs that have SharePoint. And Harry, as you said, is true. If you have OneDrive, that is effectively file sharing as well. So you don't necessarily have to have SharePoint. You can just have Office Online with OneDrive, and you can share data internally or externally.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Another question, if I understand this correctly, the gentleman says the Nuvolex service acts as a complete replacement for the Microsoft Admin Console, correct? Will there be occasions when I need to go to the Microsoft Admin Console even though I'm using Nuvolex? Gentlemen?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We built the platform focused on providing features that deal with a lot of the day-to-day issues you deal with on the platform, delivering the service or managing the 365 service. So as you walk through a detailed demo of the platform, you'll see that a majority of that stuff is covered. There will be times when you'll have one-off features that you need to perform for one of your tenants that are not covered on the platform. We're not trying to be a mirror image of the Microsoft Admin Portal. What we're doing is taking the majority of the workload off. But the kind of things you're going to need or want to do on our platform, if they don't exist on Nuvolex, they're going to be things you do every 3-4 weeks, every few months, and they're going to be one-off events. And you'll probably have to write PowerShell scripts. But as we continue to engage with the market and with customers, you're just going to see more and more functionality on the platform. But yeah, there may be times when you'll have 1 or 2 features, but these again are not core functionality that are used on a regular basis. These are going to be very isolated, one-off type of events.
Okay, cool. So last call for questions, folks. While we'll see if some more roll in, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. This was Nuvolex kind of saying hello world with its 365 management tool, so that was really cool. The webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a thank you email from us with a link to replay the webinar. It'll be posted up on our site, Nuvolex. I'd encourage you to socialize it as well. And then don't forget that we're going to be in New York City with our independent Office 365 workshop on March 26th. So you want to go to o365nation.com, click on events. By the way, bookmark o365nation.com. We put a lot of work into that to make that a curated site for O365 news as well as unique analysis and blogs. So hopefully that's exciting to you. And then save the date. I know you guys have email open over on screen number 2 because you're watching a webinar. So go to October 2nd through 4th of this year and save the date for Microsoft Redmond for the Office 365 Nation Conference. Bigger and better than ever. Brian, let me just, again, kind of get back in my chair, and we do have one more question, and then we'll start to, we'll go ahead and maybe start to do a wrap. So, Brian, the question is, how about the smallest SMB, $60 a year for O365 license, the price for Nuvolex relative to that, $60 a year? I'm just trying to, I'm going to have to kind of poke around. I didn't think we got that cheap, but in any event, I get the question. So, $60 a year for 365 for probably just the kiosk email type functionality. Nuvolex pricing, any differences with that low level, Brian?
No, I think, we're not going to modify the pricing or cost out to our partners because our pricing is very aggressive. Unless Microsoft does some dramatic change in the pricing structure. I think, in a customer like that, if you want to entertain them, and do business with them, this is where maybe the self-service portal may come in very handy because it's incredibly intuitive compared to the Microsoft admin portal. So you may just want to white label it, offer that as a service offering, maybe at a $1 or 80 cents, whatever, where it's basically you don't do anything. Your customer uses the portal. Our admin, our auditing, capability will track everything that the customer does. You'll have a bunch of reports that you can send them. When you have a customer that size with those kind of economics, you can't touch them. It doesn't make business sense to engage with them based on those economics. So you want to be able to deliver some value and limit your touch point. And I think that's one of the scenarios where I think your customer having access to your, company branded Nuvolex management platform or Office 365 management platform is going to play a role.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any final comments? Your contact information is here. Thank you for joining us. And Brian, I'll let you take us out. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, look, first of all, Harry, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity. We've been working hard on this for quite some time, and like I said, we're really excited about what we've built, and we're probably equally, if not a little bit more excited about what you have coming on the platform. This is a huge market, and there are a lot of people going to make a lot of money, and there's no reason why the service provider community exists today can't evolve their business and just ride the wave of 365 and the rest of the Microsoft stack, and you're going to be able to do that not only with what we have today, but what's coming. And you should be able to build a very attractive business around this category using our platform.
All right. Well, you said it best, folks. And who knows, Brian? In 6 months or 3 years, we're all going to look like we're incredibly smart getting involved in 365 early.
Exactly, right?
Because because we are going to make money, and for some of us on the line, I totally understand it can't come soon enough. So, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday. Again, keep your eyes open for the thank you email. Have a great day, and don't forget that time change. People get a little wonky come Sunday. So, have a great week. Bye-bye.